What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Marvel Snap video. I am Worst at Snap. You can simply call me Reed. We're back again to bring you guys another video here. We're talking about the new balance update for the game. So a lot of this is pretty huge. A lot of it people were speculating. A lot of it was inevitable changes that we just knew that was going to come down the pike sooner or later. So let's not waste any more time. We'll just dig right into this, and we'll kind of give my thoughts as I go here. And we'll kind of do some gameplay maybe in a later stream. So stay on the lookout for that. But here we're going to start off with Elsa Bloodstone. So this is one that kind of got people going, okay, you throw a card on here, whether it's a Jeff, Nightcrawler, Vision. Having an 11 power Vision is insane. Having a 6 power Jeff, insane. Like, it's just incredible. So part of me feels like, you didn't need to nerf it, but part of me was like, yeah, maybe we should tone back just a little bit. A lot of people are thinking, this is now going from a +3, to a +2. So we're taking down one power difference here. Let's take a look at what they said. So Elsa landed and took the metagame by storm almost immediately. We certainly intended to make a strong card, but a few factors led us to risk too much with Elsa, and we're aiming to learn from those in the future. And as it goes through there, playing with Loki and things like that, our current set of 2-cost cards can easily lock specific enemy strategies and counterplay away, with Elsa making up for any power inefficiencies that they might have, right? So maybe a Doctor Doom, even the nerfed Alioth, things like that. And definitely, it's a lot. It's a lot to counter, but I found, Shadow King started to, get all kinds of crazy recently. So in the last couple weeks, so that'd be interesting to see how that's going to change a little bit. But if you're going to ask me if this was an okay change, I think it's fine. They're keeping her at a 2/2. If you play another card to fill here, give it +3. So instead of +3, it's just a +2, taking down 1 power. I think that's fine. That's very significant. Even though it is 1 power, but we'll just have to see kind of how it plays out. And that's kind of my general thoughts about the whole balance update as a whole, but we'll just kind of have to see. This is one that I was like, oh my God, Loki, as powerful as a card that Loki is at 3 cost, insane. The more people started to utilize Loki, the more people started to test him out with different style of decks, most commonly a Kitty, Bloodstone, even before Bloodstone, but something like that. Having Loki as a 3 cost, 5 power, an incredible card you could play on turn 3. Know exactly what your opponent's playing, get it cheaper than they're playing it at. Yeah, this needed to be reworked sooner or later, whether that was taking their, a couple cards of their hand, but whatever. So, but it looks like the only thing we're getting is an increase in cost. So we're now going from a 3/5 to a 4/5. This is going to change things a little bit differently. Now, I kind of play Loki a little different than most people. The way I kind of play Loki is, if I'm running collector, like if Loki's in my deck as a tool, then I'll kind of play him whenever I need to play him, right? A lot of people were playing Loki first turn they got him, right? Because people were like, what does this card do? But as this started to go along, and I've done this as well, a lot of people started to save Loki till turn 4 or 5. So, because you want to dodge as much Shang-Chi as possible. Loki was primarily get collector beefed up. We'll talk about collector in a second. Dodging Shang-Chi or something like that. So going a Loki from a 3/5 to a 4/5, even though it's technically a nerf, I think this is fine. I think this is very acceptable. I think it's a good move as far as Loki. The Bloodstone, yeah, needed to change. I could see that. Loki definitely needed to change. I could see that. So going from a 3/5 to a 4/5 is definitely a good idea. So then they start off with that there. Loki's been a tricky card for us. So yeah, it was about time that needed to change. So we'll move down to my boy, the Collector. So we got kind of nerfed and then buffed, and then he keeps getting reworked or whatever. So we went from like a 2/2, like a 2/1, wasn't it? I don't know. It might not have been a 2/1, down to 2/0. Now he's back to a 2/2. He's finally got his. I think it's time to start playing some more Loki and Collector now. Because that power, it makes a difference. So we'll go ahead and read this, what they said. It's not that long. So we made the previous Collector nerf with the express goal of weakening Loki-based decks while we determine the best course of action for the once and future King of Asgard. Given the above, it's appropriate we return Collector to his former stats. Okay, this is a prime example of how buffs, nerfs should work, right? We know as players, you know, Loki goes very well with Collector. Obviously, the synergy is incredible. But if you nerf or buff something, if it synergizes heavily with that other thing, you might want to consider, maybe not every time, but you might want to consider how can you move around with the other synergistic card, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4, whatever. So in this case, yeah, I can see, you know, they're gonna nerf Loki a little bit, but they're gonna give Collector a buff. So I think that's very appropriate. I think it's awesome. I think it's time to take Loki Collector back on ladder. We'll just have to kind of see how that goes. So, all right, we'll move on to Angela. This is the one that kind of caught a lot of people by surprise, especially me. Yeah, we'll go ahead and read this. So she went from a 2-0 to a 2-2. So according to them, they've actually been avoiding this change for a while with many other adjustments, trying to rein in the Angela package and provide more diverse ways to build early power while retaining the linchpin card for some decks. However, those efforts have only dragged other cards down as Angela continued to soar, culminating in a week with Angela in our 4 of our top 5 decks. It's time to see how Marvel Snap looks like without Angela as a massive power source. We're sure this change will reverberate through the metagame in ways we can't yet predict. Someone insert the Ronnie Radke meme there, falling in reverse. If you know, you know. So we're avoiding any nerfs or buffs, trying to compensate for it, and just going to wait and see what the future holds. So one thing, just to know, another thing I like about these patches is because they change something doesn't mean they won't change it back or modify it again in the future. This is just, you know, shifting with the current meta, right? So if this ends up not working and people hate it, oh well. I actually am okay with it. I'm actually okay, because seeing a near God 14, you know, 11, 8 to 14. I've seen an Angela at 14, and like 8 to 14 power Angela, dude, that's nutty. So bringing it down a little bit, get a good, you know, maybe 6 to 8 or 4 to 8. I think that's acceptable. So I think that's fine. Well, it's got 2-2 now, so it could still potentially hit that, you know, 8, 10, 8, 9, 10, 11, you know, depending on how you bounce around. So again, I think it's fine. I think it's appropriate. Angela gets very tall, very quick. It's in a lot of the very, very, very competitive players' deck list. I love Angela. I'm a personal favorite. Got an ink split over. She's awesome. But I do agree that this needed to happen for sure. All right. So this is one that kind of confuses me a little bit. So we're going to talk about Sauron. Old 3/3. On reveal, remove the abilities from all ongoing cards in your hand and deck. Obviously, most people play, well, virtually everyone who plays Sauron, other than my 10-year-old, plays Sauron in a Shuri list, you know, to take out the, you know, the Lizard, Ebony Maw, Red Skull effects. I've tagged my armor before, and that's quite sad. But we'll go ahead and read what they say. By the way, they're going to 3/3 from a 3 to a 3/2. So it's going down in power. Whatever. This change might seem surprising, okay? But Sauron has quietly become one of the strongest cards in the game for quite a while. Okay? Sauron, excuse me, Sauron decks are almost never outside the top 10 and often in the top 5, while Sauron himself is often our highest win rate card. There are other elements at play here, as Sauron doesn't see play in other decks, which does inflate his metrics. But the deck has finally crossed the line for us. Don't worry though, Sauron fans, we have some potential new tools planned for him in the future. Okay. All right. I'm not going to lie. I don't have any thoughts for this. And one thing I was going to bring up as I was reading this earlier was, you know, maybe something potentially, because I don't think they move things around just to move them. Like, I don't think they just adjust things just to adjust. They're obviously doing it for a reason, so we're just gonna have to see exactly what they do here. So this one makes me scratch my head a little bit, but I want to trust them. It's fine. I don't play Sauron that much. I don't think anyone, you know, on a massive scale Well, I don't know. They're changing them, so I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I'm just giving my general thoughts kind of as we go here. So, now Uatu. This is one that literally no one cares about. Uatu goes from a 1/1 to a 1/2 at the start of the game. Show the right location to you. Definitely one of the worst cards of the game. Sorry, Quicksilver. When we made the Uatu rework in our last patch, we promised we were shooting low on power to make sure we'd correctly gauge the effect. Now that we know we have, we're restoring him to a 1/2. That's fine. We're also pleasantly surprised to see a few archetypes try and bring him out in decks that are very particular about which cards sit at which locations, like Armor, Galactus. This is fine. Yeah, like if you're going to do a silly effect, and again, it just depends on how competitive you are. It depends on how much you kind of want to go all in. Watu can be used as a tool, sure. A lot of people, like myself, sometimes I willy nilly play a Nebula or Sunspot or whatever on the far right lane. Have I not know what it is? So having a Watu can work. I'm just not running many decks right now that, like, do you take out Luke Cage for a Watu? Do you take out Kitty for a Watu? It's like, do you take out America Chavez for a Watu? I don't know. So I don't know. This one wasn't for me. I personally don't play the the card, so we'll just have to see. But drop your thoughts, Uatu lovers. Let me know in the comments. All right, so we got two more here. We got Hell Cow right here. So this one is quite interesting. I'm gonna try to adjust this a little bit here. All right, so Hell Cow. There we go. Sorry about that. Goes from a 4/6 to a 4/8 for our Discord lovers. Got to love it. Our adjustments to a variety of discard effects have worked well, with at least 3 distinct archetypes performing well enough to be interesting. One of the weaker discard cards has been Hell Cow, I do agree, who combined inefficient stats with randomized discarding in a way that made it hard for her to compete with the likes of Silver Samurai and even Swordmaster. This buff gives Hell Cow a more distinctly identity as a high power card for decks, doing less targeted discarding, and hopefully it leads to a continued widening of the discard space for different rewards. So I think this is awesome. It's a step in the right direction, but it's not perfect, right? Like, I like Hell Cow. I enjoy Hell Cow. But again, it's not particularly for me. I personally don't run Hell Cow, even with this buff. I don't think it's quite appropriate. I think there's other cards I'd rather have, right? Like a Black Knight. Obviously, he's going to be in there. Maybe a Swordmaster, Silver Samurai. Yeah, I could see those, but Hell Cow, I'm personally not going to go for this, but those discard lovers out there, do let me know what y'all think down in the comments. So, and Spectrum, the last one here. So, here we got her 6'5", which is what she was, to a, oh, here we go. Sorry, I got my game playing in the back. My apologies. Spectrum, 6'5" to a 6'7". Spectrum has languished for a while among new players. She tends to get abandoned relatively quickly for Odin or Heimdall, who work with a more potent set of cards. My daughter just started running Spectrum, by the way. Among competitive players, she can often feel like an additional Doctor Doom. This is just a straightforward bump for her higher, further, faster. So the 6'7", I think, is quite good. I think it's fine. The only thing is, it's going to be interesting to see how Spectrum decks start to work out, right? Like, I ran one on ladder the other day, and in Infinite, someone in Infinite was running that. Now, I don't think it was competitive, but I had to retreat. It was quite effective. So having Spectrum come in, having that 6'7", doing the on reveal, given all other ongoings +2 power, is quite incredible. This could potentially be a 6, 15, 12, it could be massive. The Spectrum effect is quite massive. So, but that's my thoughts on the October 26th balance updates. Let me know your favorite or maybe least favorite buff, nerf. Let me know down in the comments what you think. This is the first of many series. I'll try and be better prepared in future update videos. This one was kind of, oh crap, I forgot it was Thursday, do a OTA. So I figured, you know what, just call home from work, we'll throw it up there and we'll get it out to you guys. So again, that's my thoughts. I'm gonna take a couple of these on ladder. Definitely a Loki collector, if I say so myself. So I'm gonna have to take that on and see what's up. So, but it's been a pleasure. Again, I've been Reed, and we will see y'all in the next video. Cheers.